Hi everyone, my name is Chantel and welcome back to another video. I've been thinking of giving this teapot a makeover and I have finally settled on transforming it into an Eyepot from Alice, Madness Returns. The only thing that will be different in my version is that the spout is different and I will keep the legs as they are now. What I will be using for this project is obviously the teapot, my sculpting tools, Sculpey Bacon Bond and Super Sculpey. I will paint the finished teapot with acrylic paints with the colors black, green, a shimmery copper color for the rusty parts and a gold marker. I will also use these red paints for the eyeball of the teapot, and I will be adding some brown paint later as well. So let's start. After thoroughly cleaning this teapot with rubbing alcohol, I put down a layer of bacon bond to make the clay stick to the metal surface. I then used a circular cookie cutter for the main feature of the teapot, which is the eye. I also cut out the eyelids with the same shape cutter and layered them on top. I roll out a snake of clay to accentuate the eyeball and the eyelids. I then again brush liquid Sculpey over the entire teapot as the whole thing will be covered in clay. Once that is all on, I start sculpting out the rough scales this teapot has. This was a lot of work, but as you all know, I love adding the details to my sculptures, and even though this was a rather large sculpture, this was no exception. And this is what it looks like so far. I do the same thing for the spout of the teapot. The spout looks less rough and is a bit of a different shape from the game version, but I liked it, so I went with it. After that, I started adding the swirl details to the teapot. The snake of clay around the eye wasn't thick enough, so I added another layer on top and added swirls on the top of the eye as well. I then moved on to the rest of the swirls on the teapot that were added with snakes of clay. At first I wasn't going to do the lid of the teapot, but I decided to do it anyway, as I wanted to add some cracks to make it look old. I also added a snake of clay to the top of the pot and the base of the lid, and added some detail by dragging an explorer tool over it. Then before I baked the whole thing, I added the little spikes inside the handle. I did cover the still bare parts of the metal in liquid Sculpey so that the paint has something to adhere to. And this is just after baking the teapot. It's all in one piece and no cracks. The first layer is a dark green, which is basically brushed all over the teapot, except for the parts of the eye. I then moved on to the eyeball, which I applied in layers, drying with my heat gun in between to speed up the process. If you haven't heard of the game Alice Madness Returns, it's a psychological horror hack and slash action adventure platform game developed by Studio Spicy Horse and released by Electronic Arts. It's the sequel to American McGee's Alice. The third installment is Alice Asylum and is set to be released late 2021. After the eye, I add the gold details. This was so satisfying to do, as this marker is just the perfect gold and covers the clay with just one layer. It's an oil-based opaque metallic paint marker by Deco Color, and if you want real gold accents in your projects, I highly recommend this pen. I wanted to give the teapot a little more dimension, so I added a wash of black paint in between the cracks and next to the swirls and wiped the excess off with a cloth. I then added some rusty accents with copper acrylic paint, which I applied with a sponge. Finally, I add some highlights with a mix of brown and yellow paint to make the scales on the teapot stand out more. And then finally a gloss varnish for the eyeball. Let's see what it looks like all finished. And this is how he turned out. I really like this new holder for my brushes and I hope you do too. If you did, please give this video a like. It really helps my channel out. Make sure to check out my socials, Patreon site, and hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Thanks so much for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!